civilians
But
is
you
not
do
acceptable
condemn what Hamas did.
You see, so we're going to go down that line of questioning again.
Yes.
And if we had adhered to that line of questioning, the first question would be, would you condemn what happened on the 7th of October? Whatever you say, yes or no, the questioning is not going to end. If you say yes, then they're going to ask you, do you consider it as terrorism? If you say yes or no, that line of questioning is going to continue. And by the time you're done, the interview is done, and you haven't spoken of the ordeal of our people. And you have somehow found yourself justifying the Israeli response to it. I do not accept a terrorism framing. I'm very clear with you. I reject a terrorism framing. In the UN, I'm a jurist.
How would you frame it?
I will tell you. There is no definition of terrorism. And the reason is you have countries who came from decolonization.
Well, it's the killing of innocent civilians for political gain.
There's no definition. You can check.
Well, that is a definition.
There's no agreed upon. No, that's your definition. There's no.
No, that is the definition.
Let me get to you'll get the point that I'm making. Again,
okay.
You know, I'm a very blunt person.
Okay.
I'm a very blunt person.
No, I appreciate
I'm not scared
that.
of any question.
So am I.
And I can respond to any question you have. The reason why states cannot agree on a definition is that people don't want struggles against colonialism, liberation, apartheid, etc., to be tainted as terrorism, and thus, by confusing the justness of the means you are using and the justice of the cause you are defending, to delegitimize these struggles. And then you have on the other side states, including in the Western Bloc, including Israel, who say a state can do anything, can do exactly what you just defined, and can never be accused of terrorism, because terrorism can only be done by armed groups, not states. That's why at the UN till now, we have agreed on everything except the definition of terrorism. The terrorism framing means you have to kill the terrorists. That's the only way out. If you accept a conflict framing, then you need to end the conflict. That's how you resolve the violence once and for all. Israel wants to replace the conflict framing by a terrorism framing, and then wants to expand the definition of who's a terrorist to anybody in the Palestinian people. How many times they said Palestinian prisoners are terrorists? We had 1 million prisoners in 70 years. So all of our people are terrorists. They call our diplomacy terrorists. They call our NGOs, the most prominent human rights NGOs, terrorists. Now they're calling the UN terrorist supporter, and they want to make the UNRWA terrorists. So once we accept that framing, we've set the stage for the indiscriminate killing of Palestinians. This is an occupation. It doesn't mean that you can harm Israeli civilians when I say that. There's no right to resistance that allows you to harm civilians. That's not the way the international law works, and we are abiding by international law. But it means that the solution is not to kill more people. It is to break the cycle of violence. It is to sit and make a peace agreement that liberates the Palestinian people and ensures the peace and security for all. That is the only way out. And you have to recognize the humanity of the other. And for many reasons, personal, that we will not dwell into, I am immune to hatred. There are reasons in my personal story that makes me immune to hatred. And I'm far away, and I'm privileged, and I haven't suffered much of the suffering my people have suffered. If you could see into my soul the level of anger that takes every fiber of my being so it doesn't turn into hatred that would misguide me or rage that would blind me, I can understand how people can go crazy seeing their kids killed, seeing people under the rubble, having to be displaced from one place to the other, being bombed, besieged, starved to death, and the world still demanding of them that you should do something different. Israel will kill Palestinians, whether they're peaceful, whether they're violent, whether they're tall or small. They will continue killing Palestinians because what they reject is our identity, is our nationhood, is our statehood. And they're not being very discreet about it if you just listen to them.
Ambassador, I appreciate you joining me and being so frank. Thank you very much.